Hey guys, it's your boy Atlas. Today I'll be discussing Marvel's Avengers and whether or not you should buy it and whether you should spend your hard-earned cash on it. First up, things that the game does very well. Then we'll discuss things that it is lacking in currently. And this discussion will be based on the state of the game as of patch 1.3. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So first up, let's talk about the things that the game does well, because let's bring up the positives before we talk about the negatives, alright? So the campaign is actually really good. The campaign is surprisingly good. I didn't think I was going to like Kamala being the central focus of the campaign, but throughout the entire thing, I actually enjoyed it a whole lot. And from start to finish, it was a solid Avengers experience. The graphics are very well done. There are a lot of particle effects and various other destructible environments. It's a very well done graphical game. They've kind of slacked off on some areas. Some of the cityscapes could use more work. But I tell you what, whenever they want to showstop it and just put on a performance for you, the graphics are spectacular. Another thing I really enjoy about the game is as you're leveling up and getting power levels and stuff, you get loot all the time. This game likes to rain loot on you. Sometimes it may not be the best loot, but at least it's giving you loot to look at. So, some games have struggled in the past with not giving you loot at all. I'm going to give it to this game. It gives you good amount of loot at a decent pace to keep you invested from 0 to power level 130. The combat is surprisingly fun. When you first start out, it's a little bit slow, but once you get to level 50 on your characters and you have all your talent points, combat is some of the best combat I've had in a game ever. I mean, you'll be doing iconic moves, crazy things will be happening, you'll be dodging, it's just spectacular. And there's nothing quite in the gaming industry right now that parallels to it because it's just so dynamic and the combat feels so good. Speaking of iconic moments, you're playing as the freaking Avengers. There are plenty of moments that just happen randomly while you're playing. Not even just in the single player, because there's a ton of moments in the single player that are just show-stopping moments. But we're talking during the multiplayer, you'll just be playing, somebody will be playing as Thor, and let's say you're playing as Captain America. Alright, you're pounding away at an enemy, you finish him off, and you turn, and all you see is Thor going all God of Thunder off in the distance, enemies flying all over the place from Hulk smashing. I mean, it is the Avengers through and through. And then, on the lines of it being the Avengers, the characters are powerful at late game. You feel the power of them. You will absolutely wipe out dozens of enemies in single punches, basically, as different characters, unleashing your ultimates. It just feels good. Now, there are some enemies that are just massive HP sponges, but the fodder enemies, when you're fighting them, oh my god, it is great. And then the last thing I want to talk about that this game does super well is the potential future of this game, alright? If you buy this game now, you're betting a huge chunk on the potential future of this game. Square Enix and Crystal Dynamics have many years of support planned for this game, and hopefully they get to realize what they want to do over the next year or two. Currently, there has been 15 DLC characters data mined. That's 15 more playable characters, alright? We're talking the likes of Black Panther, Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier, She-Hulk, Captain Marvel. I mean, big names. There's going to be a ton of stuff coming to this game in the future. They're going to continue the story in the DLCs. That is the main thing with this game at present. It is enjoyable when it works, and you are betting on the potential future. Now let's go ahead and talk about some things that this game does not do very well. This game is buggy as shit. I ain't going to mince words here. It is buggy as shit. They released patch 1.3, which patched 1,000 things in the game. Alright, they released a game that the first major patch of the game is fixing 1,000 things. And things are still broken. The player base is upset. Some people can't finish the campaign. Some people can't even load the game. All right, they are costumes that you've unlocked are becoming relocked. It's still a mess, even with the 1,000 bug fixes. It runs better now, but there is still a bunch of issues in the game currently. Now, while the campaign is really good, it only lasts about 6 to 8 hours if you're going fast. So it is really short. So if you're just buying it wanting the single player campaign, it's not really your game. This game weighs heavily on the multiplayer part, which is also broken at the moment. Matchmaking's not working so hot. The best way to do it is either have friends or join a Discord or join a group somewhere that actively gets games going. Another thing about this game, it's an Avengers game, but at its heart, it is a live service looting game. And that may not be what you want in an Avengers game. You're going to be changing your loot, and the loot doesn't feel great because it doesn't change the way your character looks. It's all invisible gear. It's just invisible stats that up your character, and then they sell you the cosmetics, basically. So, for an Avengers game, maybe a looter wasn't the best idea. I thoroughly enjoy the looting aspect. If you're not a fan of looters, this game will not be for you. At its heart, you have the single player story campaign, and then you go to the Avengers Initiative. And something that the player base is very upset right now is forced single player missions during the Avengers Initiative multiplayer section, specifically The Last Avenger Standing Heroic Hive and the newly released Mega Hive, which is 40 floors approximately. Those two things have the player base divided right now, because if you're a solo player, it's fine, nothing changes for you. But if you like playing with your friends, they're releasing stuff into a multiplayer section of the game that requires you to play solo. So that's something they're not doing too well right now. The early game, especially when you first finish the campaign with the characters, is slow and very boring. You don't unlock the full potential of your characters until you're approximately level 40, which will take a couple of hours of playing to get one character up to where they're actually starting to feel good, let alone all 6 characters. And then while you're doing that, they use the same handful of recycled environments and objectives ad nauseum, just forever. So you're playing on a very slow, boring start of a game after you complete the campaign into the multiplayer, and you're doing it in missions, and nothing really changes between each mission. So they'll probably add more mission types, add more tile sets and stuff in the future, but currently it is very, very lackluster in that department. The poor performance on PC and reported issues with PS4s and Xbox Ones. With the patch, they increased the performance on PC considerably, but it's still not very great. I run a pretty high-end setup still, and I should be able to run the game really well, but if I play it for more than a couple of hours, I start losing all sorts of frame rates, and I have to restart the game. And if anybody's running lower than what I am, I've had my friend who was able to play games like Anthem on the max settings can't even launch the game without it crashing because it staggers so hard on his system. The performance is very, very poor. And then the final point is the in-game. So the game feels really good up until 130. Once you hit 130, you hit a brick wall of content. All right, you're stuck doing the same hives, same missions over and over and over, trying to get from 130 to 150. Now, gear doesn't drop up to 150. Soft caps at 130, and then you have to spend your resources, which don't come in fast enough, to get from 130 to 140. And then you have to use another resource that comes very, very slow on your major artifacts from 140 to 150. So you hit the end game, and it's a very boring grind, and it's just not very much fun. That's the reason why I'm leveling every character up to level 50 and 130 power. And then I'm going to start tackling more things from there. But currently, in its current state, the end game is very lackluster. So I know that's a lot of points I just made between the good and the bad. My personal opinion of Avengers, I got my money's worth. I bought the game twice and I still feel like I got my money's worth. Alright? Would I recommend it for everybody? No. Not at its current state. But if you're a fan of the looter genre, this is a game to watch. I would recommend picking it up in 6 months to a year from now when they have most of the issues fixed, and assuming that they are still supporting the game. If they support the game for 6 months to a year from now and everything's going good, I think that this game has amazing potential, but it also has the potential to just fall flat on its face and cease to exist. So I think, and if you're dead set on buying it, buy it. Give it a shot. But if you're on the fence, I would advise you to wait. Currently, the game is just not good enough, in my opinion. Alright guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you like the video. And as always, if there is loot, I will loot it. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all my latest content. It's right there in the bottom right hand corner. Also, check me out over on Twitch. I'm a variety streamer there. And links to all my social media down below in the description of this video. As always, I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see you for the next video.